this Memorial Day, it's also important to hear the stories of those who risked their lives on the front lines. In the studio tonight is CEO of VETCOMM.US, a Marine Corps veteran, Kate Monroe. Kate, thanks for joining us.
So glad to be back.
Good to have you in studio. We want to first start off by saying thank you for your service, for the time that you gave and the sacrifice, again, from away from your family who is in the studio tonight to watch, but also, I'm sure, what is a very somber day for all of our veterans. Talk about what Memorial Day means to you and to the men and women who have served.
You know, I think it means a lot of different things to me. You know, now helping veterans every day, it kind of changed my perspective, I think, but it's always meant, you know, freedom isn't free. There's some sacrifice that has to be made. You know, so I think there's two schools of thought. You could mourn people's loss, right? You could continue on in that mourning, or you could celebrate their sacrifice. And so for me, I choose to celebrate their sacrifice because, you know, the cost of freedom is very high. You know, in fact, you know, hundreds of thousands of lives type of high, so.
And that's a perspective right now that I think we need to hear in number form, especially on a day right now that is honoring the ones who pay the ultimate sacrifice. What do you say to those Gold Star families, to the ones who are walking around on a day like today, and it's not obvious, right, when we pass somebody on the street or we see somebody at the grocery store, that they have someone in their lives that they are missing on a day like today? What do you tell them?
You know, we just recently helped a Gold Star family who lost their son, and so it's very, you know, real to me. I just tell them, like, you know, I just said, let's celebrate their sacrifice. Let's celebrate what they did and remember them in that way. You know, and I also tell them, too, if they happen to be veterans themselves, you know, a lot of parents have served these Gold Star families. A lot of them, it's generational. There's lineage there. I would tell them, if you are suffering with something from your own service, I want to help you out. Right. You know, we want to make sure that people aren't sitting alone with their grief, whether they be the family of service members or they be service members themselves. Just don't sit alone with it. There's too many casualties that we've already had, you know, abroad. We don't need them domestically.
Well, and I'm so glad you brought this up, because this was actually something that had me in tears this morning on Twitter, a thread by a son who lost his father to suicide and said, you know, when World War II was happening, it was nowhere in anyone's school of thought that one day more of our service members would be dying by suicide than dying in combat. Talk about the work that you're doing and the importance of giving that support to our veterans.
Yeah, you know, our veterans need a tremendous amount of support because we do a good job preparing them for war, right? There's a ton of training. I even went through that training. There's not a lot of preparation for that deep sadness, that grief that happens. You know, this morning I talked about a story, Corporal Chris Kane. He was the first person that I helped get his disability compensation, and he had massive PTSD, but it was not from the ravages of war. He was called in to save some other Marines that were in a building. He managed to scale a wall with a 50 cal and 200 pounds of equipment, saved all their lives, and then a bulldozer wrecked through the wall, crushing his leg and knocking him out. So the last he knew, he saved everybody. But then a few days later, when he woke up from surgery, he looked up to watch the news, and every single person he had saved got shot down in their helicopter. So the grief of the sadness of that survivor's guilt, you know, sitting at home. And so when we're helping veterans, I just tell them all, we need to deliver some of this grief and this PTSD and this depression to the VA so you can get some closure, so you can get some help, so you can get some benefits and compensation. I would tell them, you need to get help. You know, most veterans that saw combat, you probably have PTSD, and I'd like to help you, you know, bring that to the VA.
Tell us, how can they contact you? How can they learn more about the organization and about all of the incredible work you're doing?
They can find us at VETCOMM, VETCOMM.US, and we are here for all of our, you know, all of our veterans. We just love you guys. This is, you know, my message to all the families watching, all the veterans watching. You're not alone. We're celebrating with you. We realize you sacrificed along with the sacrifices of those men and women, and we would love to help you.
All incredible points and incredible work you are doing after already serving and giving so much. Kate Monroe, we appreciate everything. We appreciate you taking time on a day like today to come and speak with us.
Thanks for having me.
All right, Rafer, we will send things over to you.